They say miracles come in all shapes and sizes, but I never expected mine to arrive on 4 wobbly legs, wearing the fluffiest white coat and weighing barely 3 pounds. Let me tell you about Poppy, the little lamb who taught me that sometimes the smallest voices carried the biggest messages. It was early spring on our family farm in the countryside, that magical time when everything comes alive again. Flowers blooming, birds singing, and yes, lambs being born. I've been around sheep my entire life. My grandmother started this farm 50 years ago, and now I'm carrying on. But I'd never seen anything quite like Poppy. She was born during a terrible storm, thunder crashing, rain pouring down, wind howling like it was angry at the world. Her mother, Daisy, was struggling. The birth was difficult, and by the time Poppy finally arrived, Daisy was too weak to care for her. And Poppy, she was so tiny, so impossibly tiny. The other farmers who came to help that night, they all said the same thing. She won't make it. She's too small, too weak. Nature doesn't always give us happy endings. But when I picked up that tiny, shivering lamb and looked into her dark eyes, something inside me just refused to accept that. "Not on my watch," I whispered to her. "We're going to fight this together, little one." The first week was the hardest. Poppy couldn't regulate her body temperature, so I kept her in a box next to my bed, wrapped in blankets with a heating pad. Every 2 hours, day and night, I'd wake up to bottle feed her. My friends thought I was crazy. "It's just a farm animal," they'd say. "You can't save them all." But Poppy wasn't just a farm animal to me. She was a fighter. Every time I fed her, she'd look up at me with those big, trusting eyes, and I could feel her determination. She wanted to live. There was this one night, I'll never forget it, when she stopped breathing. I was holding her, and suddenly her little body went limp. My heart stopped. Time stopped. Everything stopped. "No, no, no," I cried, gently rubbing her chest. "Come on, Poppy, stay with me, stay with me." And then, the tiniest breath, a little gasp, her chest started moving again. I sobbed with relief, holding her close. That's my girl, that's my brave girl. Week 2 brought new challenges. Poppy was getting stronger, but she wasn't growing as fast as she should. The vet came by and was skeptical. She might have developmental issues, he warned. Her legs seem weak. She might never walk properly. But Poppy had other plans. I'll never forget the morning she took her first real steps. I had set her down on the kitchen floor like I did every day for her exercise time. Usually she'd wobble a bit, maybe take one step, then sit down. But that morning she walked. Actually walked 5 whole steps before tumbling onto her fluffy bottom. I screamed with joy so loud that my husband came running from the barn, thinking something was wrong. "She walked!" I shouted, tears streaming down my face. "She walked!" He laughed, wrapping his arm around me. Never doubted her for a second. By week 3, Poppy had become part of the family. She'd follow me everywhere, and I mean everywhere. To the chicken coop, to the garden, even to the mailbox. She'd trot behind me on those long, impossibly thin legs, making little bleating sounds as if to say, "Wait for me, don't leave me behind." My daughter, Emma, who's 7, was absolutely obsessed with her. She'd dress Poppy in her doll clothes, read her stories, and insist that Poppy sleep in her room. "Mommy," Emma said one night at dinner, "I think Poppy understands me. When I tell her about my day, she listens." And you know what? I believed her, because Poppy had this way of tilting her head, of looking at you with those expressive eyes that made you feel truly heard. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. One afternoon, about a month after Poppy was born, I was in the barn with the other sheep. Poppy was napping in her favorite sunny spot by the fence. Suddenly, I heard the most urgent, loud bleating I'd ever heard from her. It was different from her normal sounds. This was alarmed, panicked. I ran outside, and there was Poppy, standing at the fence, bleating frantically toward the far pasture. "What is it, girl? What's wrong?" She kept bleating, kept looking toward the field, and then I saw it. One of our ewes, Clover, was lying on the ground, not moving. I ran across the field, my heart pounding. Clover was in labor and having complications. If Poppy hadn't alerted me, I might have lost. But that's when I realized Poppy wasn't just a survivor. She was special. From that day on, she became the farm's unofficial guardian. She'd watch over the other animals, alert us to any problems, and somehow always knew when something wasn't right. But more than that, she brought joy, pure, unbridled joy. Tourists started coming to our farm specifically to meet her. "Is this the famous Poppy?" they'd ask, and she'd pose for photos like a little celebrity, soaking up the attention. Children who were afraid of farm animals would meet Poppy and fall in love instantly. She was so gentle, so patient, so impossibly sweet. We started a social media page for her, at Poppy the Miracle Lamb, and her story touched thousands of people around the world. People going through hard times would message us saying, "Poppy's story gave me hope. If she could fight that hard, so can I." Now, a year later, Poppy is thriving. She's still smaller than the other sheep, probably always will be, but she's healthy, happy, and living her best life. Every morning she greets me at the door with her signature bleat. Yes, I'd recognize her voice anywhere now. She's best friends with Emma, protector of the flock, and honestly, the queen of this farm. People ask me all the time, "Do you regret spending all those sleepless nights, all that effort for one little lamb?" And my answer is always the same, not for a single second, because Poppy taught me something profound. She taught me that size doesn't determine strength, that the smallest creatures can have the biggest impact, that love and determination can overcome impossible odds. She taught me that every life has value and purpose, even when others can't see it. Last week, Emma was having a rough day at school. She came home crying because some kids were making fun of her for being too small for her age. I didn't know what to say, but then Poppy trotted over, nuzzled Emma's hand, and looked up at her with those wise, gentle eyes. Emma smiled through her tears. "Poppy was small too, wasn't she, Mom?" "She was," I said softly, "and look at her now. Being small doesn't mean being less. Sometimes being small means being mighty." Emma hugged Poppy tight. "I'm going to be mighty too, just like you." And in that moment, I realized Poppy's miracle wasn't just that she survived. Her miracle is that she keeps teaching us, keeps inspiring us, keeps reminding us what really matters. So here's to the tiny lamb that nobody thought would make it. Here's to the fighter who proved everyone wrong. Here's to Poppy, the 3-pound miracle who changed our lives, touched thousands of hearts, and taught us that the smallest voices sometimes carry the most powerful messages. She's currently napping in her favorite purple bed. Yes, she has a bed, don't judge us, in a sunny spot in our living room, probably dreaming about her next adventure. And me, I'm just grateful that on that stormy night, I decided to listen to my heart instead of the doubters. Because sometimes the best things in life come in the smallest, fluffiest packages. Thank you, Poppy, for being you, for fighting, for showing us that miracles are real. You weren't just saved that night, you saved us right back.